Hello! It is so good to see you again. Or not really see you, but you see me, so it works. Um, Spring is in the air here in South Texas, and I am super excited. I always say winter and fall are my favorite, but I really love spring. I love the nostalgic feeling that comes from it. I just don't know. It's just, there's something in the air that I love. So, if I were to be completely honest with myself, I think spring is my favorite. So, yeah, I decided I was going to do a spring book tag. So, I hope you enjoy. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I am Karina Joy, and this is my channel where I talk about books. And of course, I'm going to talk about some books today. So first of all, I have just gotten in the mail some books from Thrift Books, so I thought I would open them real quick and just kind of add that into this video. If you don't know much about Thrift Books, it is a used book website, and typically they are used library books. Sometimes they're not. It just depends on who's selling them. But you can get them discounted pretty heavily. So I always order there when I'm looking for something specific, because it's generally the cheapest place to find something specific. So like Book Outlet, you can look for specific things, but they may not have it. Thrift Books, every now and then they don't have what you want, but for the most part, I've been pretty lucky. So I ordered some books for some challenges that I'm doing that are coming up. So this is what I got in the mail today. So I'll open this first one. I love Thrift Books because you earn points for every dollar you spend, and I think when you get to like 500 points or something like that, you get a free book. And I've gotten a lot of free books from them, so they're pretty much my favorite place to buy books. This bag is hard to open, apparently. And they all ship at different times and from different places, so you never really know what's going to be in each package. So yeah. All right, so this is in Darkling Wood. Now, this is part of my alphabet challenge, and I could have gotten this on Amazon, but I don't think they print this cover anymore. Everywhere I've looked, it's a different cover, and I really wanted this cover because, I mean, come on, guys. Yeah. Especially, oh, the blue foiling. So pretty. So I had to order it off of Thrift Books, of course, because I wanted this specific cover. 9 times out of 10, what you order on Thrift Books, you will get. It is rare that you will get a different edition because they're showing you the specific book that they're selling. So if you see this, this is the book you're buying. I've only had a couple of times where I didn't get the edition that I wanted. It really aggravates me when I order something, and I've had that happen like on Book Outlet. I ordered an edition and it came in a different edition, and I don't know, that bugs me. Okay, so the next one. I love opening books. Oh, yes. Okay. So I'm trying to read more short stories, and in April, I really want to read a short story every day. And so I wanted to buy some short story collections because I only have a couple, and I've been reading a lot of ebook short stories, I guess is what you would call them, and it's not my favorite way to read. I would rather have a book where, especially, I can highlight or mark things I like, so I always have a hard time with this name. This one is The Best Short Stories of Fyodor Okay, I got it. Dostoevsky. It's probably not right. I read several of his short stories at Christmas and I really enjoyed them. Something about Russian literature is just very honest, I'd have to say. And there's not a lot of fluff, and it's basically just saying how the world is, and I really like that. So I'm gonna dive into this book and see if I like more of his short stories. Okay, so that was my teeny tiny book haul unboxing thingy. And now I'm gonna get into the book tag. Okay, so I found this book tag on a blog. It is not, as far as I know, I probably should have looked it up, but I haven't seen it on BookTube. But it's on a blog, so I will link the original post below from the bloggers that did it, but it is called, let me find it here. It's called The Flower Book Tag, and this is by Wordy and Whimsical at wordpress.com. I will put it down in the links below, but it, like I said, it was a blog, not a YouTube video, but I'm alright with that. Okay, I mainly did this because I love flowers and I thought it was interesting to do a tag based on flowers. So let's get started. Okay, so question number 1 is, roses are traditionally given as an expression of love. What's your favorite romance in a book? Okay, guys, this is probably super, super, super cliche, but it's the truth. Okay, guys? I have to find the trying to find the book. I love the relationship between Katniss and Peeta in the Hunger Games. I don't know, it's just, I know it's probably cliche, and I'm sure there's a whole lot of people that really love that relationship, or people that are bookish that are kind of like, it's cheesy and they don't like it, but I enjoyed the fact that they were there for each other in a really, really hard time, and throughout the trilogy, their relationship has so many layers to it, and the whole time I was, of course I had seen the movies, but even when I was watching the movies ahead of time, I was rooting for Katniss and Peeta because I thought those were the ones that needed to be together. So yeah, Katniss and Peeta is my favorite romance in a book. Okay, the next one is, stargazer lilies are named for their blooms that face... I wrote before the sky. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be toward the sky. It says, who is your favorite ambitious character? So my all-time favorite ambitious character would have to be Spenza from Skyward. Oh my goodness. She has a ton of ambition, and it spews out of her in the funniest of ways, and I just love the banter that she has. She cracks me up. I'm also reading the second book, Starsight. She's a little less intense in that book, but it's still great. I love it. It makes me laugh, and anything that makes me laugh makes me just fall in love. So Spenza is definitely one. And then this one, This one's pretty nostalgic for me. We used to listen to these books when I was young, and my husband now reads them to my children. But Hank the Cow Dog. Okay, guys, Hank, he is so ambitious, but he always fails, and it cracks me up. He's a lot like Spenza, actually. He has this big ego and thinks he can do anything, and he typically is completely and totally wrong and fails big time, but it's funny. So Hank the Cow Dog is the other one that I picked for that. Okay, the next question. Peace lilies are known for being one of the easier houseplants to care for. What is a book you think anyone could love? Okay, some of these questions were hard, and I was like, I don't know. But I picked like my favorite book of all times, and the reason I picked it is because I don't know, I just feel like everyone should love it. So I could be completely wrong. But In Another Girl's Shoes is by Berta Ruck. Guys, I'm trying to get better about author names. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible at saying the author's name. I need to do better. Okay, but anyway, In Another Girl's Shoes by Berta Ruck. It's just a fantastic book. I have talked so much about this book. I'll link my review on it. But I just think that the storyline is one of those that it might be a little bit cliche, but it's enjoyable. The banter is enjoyable. The prose, look how much I marked in this book. The prose is just brilliant. So yeah, I think anybody would enjoy In Another Girl's Shoes. And like I said, if you want to hear more about this book, I have a whole video on it. Let's see. The next one. Okay, so I actually don't have the physical book to this one, but chrysanthemums are given on Mother's Day in Australia. Who is your favorite fictional mother? Okay, so last year we read Sticks Across the Chimney. It is a book about some people that live in Denmark. And the mother in this book, she's a widow. Her husband passed away, and she's raising 2 children on her own. And in order to save money and essentially have a place for her family, she moves to a place called Gravestedt in, which I'm probably saying that wrong, in this, it's like outside of the town that they live in, and everybody's afraid of this place because they think it's haunted. So she moves there, and because of that, there's a whole lot of adversity toward her and towards her children, and she just handles it in such a graceful way. And she's always telling her children, giving her children advice on how to handle the adversity that they face. And I wish I could be more like her. I think her as a character, I don't even think they gave her a name. I think she's just their mother. But it is an amazing story for one, but I really love the mother in that story. Okay. This is a double answer. Sorry, guys. Spider plants are easy to propagate. What is a hyped up book that you love? Okay, guys. Where did it go? The Hunger Games. It's pretty much one of the only hyped books I've read. I don't know. If something's super hyped, it's hard for me Like, I tried to read Twilight and I just wasn't interested. Of course, this was in my 20s, but you know, everybody was reading it and it was super hyped back then. And I was like, I'll try it. Didn't like it. Yeah. So this is pretty much the only hyped book I've read, and I really love it. And I realize it's not as hyped now as it was when it came out, but this one, my favorite series. Okay. Lily of the Valley is pretty but poisonous. Share a book with a beautiful cover that was actually disappointing. For that one, I am picking this one right here, Ex Libris. This, obviously, and you've seen this if you've watched very many of my videos, I have shown it a few times. The cover is amazing. I love it, but it was not exactly what I thought it was going to be. It had a whole lot of political books, biographies, things like that. I was hoping for like classics and, you know, those types of books, and it just didn't have what I thought it would have. It was pretty good. I mean, I gave it 3 stars, but it just wasn't what I thought. Okay, so let's see. Okay, orchids are one of the oldest flower types known to man. What's your favorite classic novel? My favorite classic, and I really need to buy it so that I have my own copy, but my favorite classic is A Little Princess. First of all, when I was a kid, I absolutely loved the movie. I think it came out in the 90s. It was really good. And I hadn't read the book until just a couple of years ago. I love the book too. I think the book's probably my favorite out of the two. It's more realistic, if that type of story could be considered realistic. It's pretty idealistic. Things happen very conveniently. But I love the way the story is told. I love how much Sarah just exudes grace. And I've heard a lot of people say that there's no way as a child that she would be able to handle the situations that she handled in the way that she did. But I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it depends on who you are and how you were raised. And apparently her father raised her in a way to think positive no matter what. And she is able to do that. So yeah, that's my favorite classic. Okay, the next one is Peonies Require a Lot of Care. Share a bookish relationship that was caring and supportive. So I just finished Bloomability by Sharon Creech, and I listened to it. It was so good, guys. So the little girl's name is Domenica, and her family is Italian, and her dad is kind of like what would be a good word for it? I don't know. He moves around a lot, and he's always searching for the next opportunity. And so she's moved around her whole life. And her brother and sister, I'm assuming because of the moving, end up having a really hard time. So her brother ends up in jail and her sister ends up having a baby. And she is 12 at this time. And her parents decide that it would be good for her to spend some time away. So they send her with her aunt and uncle to Sweden or Switzerland. Listen, guys, I don't remember where it was, but I will put it right here. It's either Sweden or Switzerland. I'm terrible at geography. I'm also terrible at talking. I don't know why. Anyway, so she goes with her aunt and uncle, and her uncle is a he's the new headmaster at a boarding school that is in Switzerland, Sweden, one of the two of those. Anyway, so she feels like she's being kidnapped because she obviously wanted to stay with her family and did not want to go with her aunt and uncle. And the whole time she is just frustrated with the scenario. So when they get to the school and they move into their new home, she keeps putting signs in her window that say things like kidnapped or anything like that. And what I found so heartwarming with the aunt and the uncle is that they completely understood why she felt the way she did, and they didn't get on to her for it. They embraced her and said, you know, I understand you're going through a hard time and you can talk to us and all of that. And in the end, their relationship had grown to this really amazingly strong relationship. And I appreciated how much care and love that they gave to her in the situation that she was going through, even though she was being a little bit difficult in the beginning. They really did show how much they cared. Okay, so the next one is hyacinths have a sweet lingering fragrance. What's the sweetest novel you've ever read? For this one, I picked Daddy Longlegs. This is such a cute story that I have to reread soon because there's a twist at the end and I'm trying to figure out if there were clues throughout the story, but this is such a sweet story. The premise behind it is that the girl is an orphan and she is almost old enough to leave, and one of the men that is on the board wants to pay for her college. So the stipulation is that he's going to pay for her college, but she can never know who he is, and she has to write him letters. So she does write him letters, and they're filled with all kinds of, sometimes she's happy, sometimes she's frustrated with him because he never writes her back. But she continues to write him letters. And in the end, there's a twist that is super, super sweet. I loved the story. I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to spoil it if you haven't read it, but you need to because it's super cute. This is a book that is completely written, other than the first chapter, in letters. And maybe, I can't remember if the last chapter is letters or not, but Daddy Longlegs is a super sweet story. We're almost done. We have 3 more. Okay, so number 10, which I don't know if I've been numbering these or not, but is tulips are bright, popular, and showy. Who is your favorite larger-than-life character? For this, I picked Sherlock Holmes. I am in the middle of reading my first book of his, but I have always really loved the character of Sherlock Holmes. He just cracks me up. He is so confident and he knows that he knows what he's doing and nobody can tell him otherwise. And I am enjoying reading the book because I feel like all the different versions, I guess, on Sherlock Holmes have done a really good job portraying his personality as far as film and TV goes. So I've enjoyed reading the book because his personality is just as big and larger than life in the book as it is in all of the different TV shows and movies that I have seen of Sherlock Holmes. Okay. Number 11. Certain types of water lilies are difficult to eradicate. What is a novel that has stood the test of time and remained your favorites through the years? Okay, so for this one, I picked A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. Now, I know there's mixed feelings about Francine Rivers in the Christian world, and I'm not going to lie, I have had mixed feelings about some of her books. I wouldn't say throw out Francine Rivers because of some of her books, because not all of her books are as they don't toe the line as much. I know the problem that people have with her is sometimes she toes the line with sexual content, and as a Christian author talking about Christian themes and things, people struggle with that. And I get it. And there's been a couple of her books that I was like, I think you could have said the same thing without getting as into it as you did. That being said, the Mark of the Lion series is amazing. The first book is A Voice in the Wind. Guys, I read this book, started it in an airport, and I was bawling through the first 2 or 3 chapters. It is so good. It is about a Christian girl in Roman times. Her name is Hadassah, and she is actually part of the siege of Jerusalem. And it talks about her going through that siege, and I think it was in like 79 AD or something like that, where where the Romans took over. There was a lot of starvation and violence and all kinds of stuff. This book, as a Christian, this book really made me appreciate my freedom that I have in this modern world, in the country that I live in. And it made me feel a little bit more of a connection to people in the Bible that had been martyred for Christ, because I was able to build a relationship with Hadassah. Now, this one is by far my favorite of the 3 books. The other 2, I'd say the first and second one are my favorites. The third one is about like a separate character that's been woven throughout the first 2 books, and it's okay. It's not as good as the first 2. But guys, you seriously, if you have not read these books, you need to read them. They're long, they are character driven for sure. They span a long period of time, but it really does show you some of the things that Christians went through during that time. And it did a lot for my faith. It did a lot for my understanding of history during that time. By far, one of my favorites, and will always be one of my favorites. The last one is lavender has many uses, from landscaping and food to cosmetics and essential oils. Name a book you love that fits into more than one genre. For this one, I don't know if I cheated, okay, guys, but I picked the Bible. I think by far, out of any book in the entire world, this book fits that statement more than anything. Guys, there is so much that the Bible covers. It's insane. Like, there's romance, there's Song of Solomon, which, if you don't know what that is, it's about marital relationships. There's scary things. There's guys, there's things that if it were in a book that I, like, I believe all this is true, but if this were a fiction book, there's sci-fi elements, there's fantasy elements, there's horror elements. There's so much in the Bible that you can just characterize in every single genre that there is. So this one is the pick I picked for that. Okay, so that was my flower book tag. Like I said, spring is in the air and I am so excited about it. I love flowers blooming and spring is just my favorite. So I will link the original creators for this tag below, and I would love if you would, if you're a booktuber, join in as well. And if you are not, I would love to hear some of your answers in the comments. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video. I enjoyed coming up with answers for it, and I think I'm going to enjoy editing it because I have some ideas. But anyway, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.